AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Stay in your lane. Stick to fitness. Aren't you a nutrition company? Do you know how many times we've heard that over the years? Especially when we step out and post something that is even adjacent to politics or the most recent tragedy in the US. But here's the truth. There is no lane when things like this happen. There's no script, and there's no limit to the impact that one voice can have. Today, we're going to talk about that and why public figures, athletes, artists, influencers, they aren't just that. They're leaders. In fact, everyone is a leader. Everyone has a right and a responsibility, if they want it, to speak the truth, their truth, because that's how you change the hearts and minds of other people. When we're told to stay quiet, that's just the echo of patriarchy trying to keep power in its place. But our take and our approach has always been to quietly cause good trouble and to encourage other people to do the same. A trigger warning, this episode talks about death and violence. So if you aren't into those topics or just don't feel like you have the emotional capacity to engage with them right now, I'd recommend skipping this episode or saving it for later. Are you good?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, because
When you say, "Are you ready?" my body then gets nervous and it thinks, don't yawn, don't burp, don't move around too much, don't make a weird noise. And then with all of that pressure, it's exhausting to even handle it. So then I yawn.
you do all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it's like, I just clicked the record button.
Like I need to yawn. Yeah, I gotta yawn.
What? No, but also, I mean, generally, like, are you good? You're tired.
I
You seem
know.
Sort of like not quite.
I know.
Are you with us?
I'm here.
Yeah. What's going on? What's happening?
You know, you just have those tired days where everything catches up a little bit.
Mhm.
I've been up early the last few days for swimming, work, life.
Yeah.
Just, it's a lot. And I just feel tired from it. So I'm just tired today. It's a Saturday though.
Yeah. So you can kind of be tired. I was wondering, I'll ask you this question, and we don't certainly have to go down this, but part of the work that you're doing is getting better at identifying like actual feelings that you're feeling before they scale up to bigger feelings, which is often noticing feelings in your body and just kind of tuning into yourself a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you thought there was any kind of parallel or correlation to physical fitness, like training type feelings. And if you think maybe sometimes you override those without realizing it.
Yes. The answer to that question is yes. Am I more aware of them now? I think as I become more settled in my mind as a result of the work that I'm doing, more regulated, it does allow more space to actually identify how my body is feeling. And it's not this forward drive, finish the run, keep pushing, because that's the only thing you know. There is a little bit of, okay, maybe this is a little bit too much right now.
Because often, like, you do have that pattern of kind of like go, 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 go. Your volume is always super high. But a couple of times a year, you just seem to kind of burn yourself like all the way out into like sometimes sickness, sometimes like I have to take like some days or a week off. And it always seems to catch you off guard a little bit. Do you think that's
Happening?
no, not necessarily happen? I mean, maybe. There's obviously a lot more stress going into the system right now, but I guess, do you think that there were signs? Like, do you think that, is it a surprise to you when it happens?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I just don't know when it's going to happen.
So I guess that's what I mean by surprise. It's not like, oh, surprise, this is happening again. Like, you see the pattern and know the pattern as much as anyone. But what I mean is, when it does happen, it seems out of the blue for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I knew this might happen, but it just randomly happens in the way that you experience it. When really maybe it's not random at all, and maybe there are little signs and hints and things going on within your body and output and mind that, maybe you will start to develop more awareness of.
Yeah. I still think that today is today's the day that I've burnt, like I feel burnt out, like the candle's out now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm getting better at not getting too fussed about it. I cut my run quite a bit. I only ran 4K today, which never has ever happened that I've done that. I usually trudge through no matter how hard it feels. And I thought today, why? Like, why? So I'm getting better at that and just moving on with the day.
Yeah.
Taking advantage of the spare time that I create by doing that. And I think maybe instead of just going back to the grind, taking a good hard look at how to avoid this in the future. And I think as an athlete and a person that works and lives in this society and that is doing a lot of personal work, you're going to hit that limit.
Yeah.
Because there's always time to fill and things to do, especially here in Fernie. There's always a lot.
Yeah.
But it's not letting you go to the point where you do, like, I'm having a mental or physical breakdown.
Yeah.
Like catching it early, like today, saying, okay, I'm not going to run my full 12K. I'm not going to do my race pace. I'm going to go and see how it goes. And then if I have to call it at 4K, call it at 4K, get home, go for a nice walk and take an easy day.
Yeah.
And then not just dive back into training tomorrow, wake up, assess how I feel and go based on that, which is different for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm learning.
Easier with a vacation week coming up too, because we're going to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I guess maybe there's just some growing awareness of the interplay between physical stress and mental and emotional stress. And it's like, yeah, you could trudge through your 12K race pace run, but at what cost to your happiness and wellness?
Yeah. And what does the rest of the day look like when I come home and I'm even more exhausted than I was when I went out?
Yeah.
I mean, how do I show up as a human at that point? If I'm clearly less resilient emotionally, if I'm exhausted, maybe, a nap is what it's necessary. And then that way I don't snap or get more bothered than I normally would.
Yeah.
Or I eat more so I don't get hangry, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I am learning that there's been a cost to my behavior and I'm trying to reduce that cost and change the behavior.
Yeah. I am almost done reading Elizabeth Gilbert's book, All the Way to the River. And there's this line towards the end where she sort of delineates the response to the question, how are you? And often people will say, I'm good. And she says here, I realize that there's a big difference between I'm good and I'm well, because there are things that can be going on and I can still feel good. In fact, there are things that are super problematic in my life and patterns that I can fall into that make me feel good, but it doesn't mean that I'm well. And I thought that was a really interesting bit of, and she's a writer, so semantics matter and words matter. But I do think that we could all probably maybe sit with that a little bit. And you can do more than just get by. And you can be honest with how things are for you, even if things are good. I thought that was a really brilliant couple of sentences from her, because it made me think, like, I'm well. That's not common English either. Like, it's not, I guess you could say I'm doing well. I'm well is not necessarily something you would hear people say often. But I wonder if sort of having that in your pocket as a response to that question, I'm well, maybe you won't say it. You wouldn't say it if you aren't. And then it's like, oh, am I? What's going on here? I'm good, but I'm not well. And then you can kind of like use that to check in to see what's going on a little bit.
Yeah. But also, it depends on who's asking the question. So there's the response that you give and your response to that response.
Yeah.
And then there's regular people. It depends on who's asking. So if you're getting asked at the grocery store, how's it going? You're just going to be like, good. Because what? You're going to unload at the grocery store checkout? I'm not doing very well. Or I'm getting by. And then they're going to be like, okay, cool.
Well, it doesn't necessarily require honesty or openness with people, but if someone asks you, how are you? And your inclination is to say, I'm good and not I'm well, which like you could say I'm well, and that person's probably going to hear them the same. They're not going to be like, oh, well, you're good, but you're not well. What's going on? Mm-hmm. Or you said, I'm well. Elaborate on that. It doesn't necessarily mean engaging.
So it's more like the question is an opportunity for you to reflect on how you're feeling intrinsically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you capable of answering the question with I'm well? And if not, if where you go is I'm good, then maybe that's worth reflecting on. After that, you don't need to pull that person into that reflection, of course. But after you're through the interaction, you know what I mean?
So ask me again.
How are you?
I'm in a transitionary period. I'm getting by, overall good.
Okay.
How's that for an answer?
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know what you mean.
How are you?
I'm well. Yeah. In the grand scheme of things. All things considered.
Good.
Yeah. Good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, and we're recording this podcast and it's going to be, so we're going to break up our order a little bit, like of planned releases because of the topic of this one. So, you know, I say I'm well, but there are a lot of things on my mind, and I think a lot of people have the same things on their minds given what's occurred in the last week. So today's Saturday, January the 10th. We're in the kind of the wake of another very like politically charged, really tragic thing that's occurred with not a lot of empathy being shown by leadership and people, certainly no accountability. And I think it's really frustrating to be here again. Yeah, so this week's been kind of a charged one. And if you don't know the context, I guess I won't shame you for like living under a rock, but in Minneapolis, a fake cop shot and killed a 37-year-old woman, a mother, a border patrol, that immigration official who is there on federal orders, not involved with the Minneapolis police, doesn't have a lot of jurisdiction outside of what it is that they're there to do. And the unfortunate part of the world that we live in is everything's on video. And some things are more on video than others. And this was very on video. And I also was thinking recently, like the last couple of days, I have seen more people die on video in the last like 5 years, 6 years than I think is normal, than I think is okay. There used to be this website, I think it was a website, and I don't know, I never went to it, but it was called Faces of Death. And it was this, kind of dark web thing. You could go see pictures of people like as they died, right before they died, videos. And it was just like, ooh, like, I don't want to go see that. Like, who would want to see that? And now we don't even get to opt out of it. It's just kind of in front of our faces. On the same app, like you just scroll down a little and then there's like videos of puppies or someone dancing to like the newest trendy audio or like someone skiing or biking. It's all this stuff that's just kind of mixed together. And it's like, I realized that I had never seen someone die on video. And then all of a sudden I did. And I don't even remember like what the first one was, but it just became this normal thing to experience on the internet. And that's kind of sad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I think normal is a tough word because it is normalized now to see it, and people want to see it to a degree. Like, because there's so much video, there's an entitlement to it. And not entitlement in a bad way, it's just how we've been reinforced. And it's funny, sometimes things will happen in real life, and my brain will do this thing where it wants a replay. But I then realize, no, there was no video. You're not watching something on TV where you can rewind or see the replay.
Yeah.
This is real life. You don't just get to watch it again or see what happened if you missed it. But my brain, because I am on social media and I do watch TV and we have our phones out a lot to capture fun moments or, things in our lives, that it's more often than not, I can watch something that I missed or see it again or connect with someone over something that I wasn't even around for. And apparently that is now death is included in that. I mean, I remember they never showed that stuff on the news.
No.
But social media, and you can't opt out.
It just plays.
Unless you're just not on social media, which I understand you can do. But I frankly am on social media, and a lot of it I'm on for connection, for work, and for puppy videos.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate when you scroll down and you do see something that you just don't want to see. That's very, very disturbing, and that you can digest without seeing it.
Yeah. And
I think over time, that's what has numbed us to the degree of horror that's happening in the world.
Yeah, there's a compartmentalization that occurs. There's probably some level of like dissociation from the reality of it.
And that's probably a protective mechanism by our brains.
Oh, it's for sure. Yeah. Just trauma to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
This one was particularly hard, I think, because there's a power dynamic. Like, I didn't like watching Charlie Kirk get killed. I don't think anyone deserves that. And it was horrible. The power dynamic and the chaos and the fear and the speed with which things escalated, and then who it was. I mean, it's someone who's like our age, 37 years old, a mom, same-sex relationship. She was in the car with her dog and her wife. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, that could be so many people that we know. That could be us. And the immediate response from the administration just being just like Darvo, right? Like, deflect, attack, reverse, victim, offender. Like, she became the bad guy. And I think that made me watch it more, because part of me was like, I really need there to be a reason that this happened. I need there to be some explanation, because this feels too close to home. And there just wasn't. There wasn't an explanation for it.
Well, if there's an explanation, then you can say to yourself, as long as I don't do that, I'll be safe.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's not the world we live in anymore.
Yeah. And I think what's being debated right now is like so distracting. Like, what was she doing there? What was she, getting involved with? This. I'm like, it doesn't matter what that was. It doesn't even matter if she was committing a crime. That still doesn't give someone the right to shoot her, outside of every protocol that has ever been written about that type of a situation. So the lack of accountability has been really hard. The lack of empathy has been really hard. And, especially looking at the way that, and I don't like this like right left thing. I really hate that. And I hate generalizing. And it just, it feels like contributing to the polarization of people, But in an effort to paint a picture, it's hard for me to see the left, air quotes, the Democrats, after Charlie Kirk was killed, respond with some level of empathy and say that's not okay. Like I didn't believe with I didn't agree with the thing that came out of that guy's mouth, but like that is not okay. It's hard to see that as the overarching response. And then this happens, and it's like she had pronouns in her profile. She was antagonistic. She was a professional agitator. She was trained to use her car as a weapon. She was like
justifying death.
I'm like, what?
Justifying death
From leadership, from people. And it's like the thing that got me is the video that came out that the guy was shooting while he was shooting. Like in what world is that allowed? Show me.
Well, like, how do you make, like, the question I ask without knowing a lot about like police or military protocols is like, how can you be focused on what you're doing in your job when it comes to handling a gun and videoing
someone
at
who's
the
like,
same time?
Someone who's fearing for their life is not going to be shooting a video on their cell phone. That those two things don't go together. But in that video,
I don't know. I mean, honestly, in today's society, maybe.
Well, no, yes, if you're on the other end, but like a federal agent, someone with tactical
but also
training,
why?
I don't know.
That makes zero sense.
Because he wanted to do it. Like that's the only thing I can come up with. Because like, anyways, that video it honestly like creates even more clarity about what was going on. And the thing that is kind of the saddest and the most frustrating for me, because I'm like, I really don't know how we come together after this, is the wife is outside the car and, you know, she's heckling the guy. And then as the guy comes around the front of the car, probably when he's drawing his weapon, you hear her tone change. She's like, you know, she's kind of, you know, talking shit to the guy. And then you hear her go like kind of shift into this fear and this panic. And she says like, drive, baby, drive. As in like, get out of here. And you can tell she's like, she's freaked out, whether, you know, she's trying to get in the car, she's seen the gun, they've both seen the gun. Like the situation changes in that moment. And you can hear that. And the way that that's being twisted online in these kind of right-wing circles, and I'm seeing people comment this, is like her wife was giving her instructions to run the guy over. Her wife was commanding her to commit violence with her car. Like that is how people are twisting this.
But she was driving away at the point when she got shot.
Yeah, I mean, so it doesn't explain anything. But the fact of the matter is, like, that's we can hear and see the exact same thing, and it's so clear what's going on. And people will make up all kinds of stories. Like, they will make up that story before they will acknowledge the fact that someone just got shot and killed who shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's just to keep themselves safe, because they realize if it's the other thing, that could also be them. Mm-hmm. If it's the other thing, they're a hell of a lot closer to Renee Nicole Good than they are Trump or that ICE agent.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch a lot of the videos because I don't want to see them. So, like, besides the first one that you showed me, I'm trying not, because it's disturbing.
Yeah.
I think that you're right. If you say that person was maybe, I mean, it could have been they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's not just true of this incident, but other incidents that have occurred with police and law enforcement, air quote. It can be anyone.
Yeah.
It can be anyone with any views. And if somebody interprets your behavior in the wrong way, you're done. And I mean, it's not even that. It's also just like school shootings and like racial or cultural, the one that happened in Bondi Beach. Like,
yeah.
No one is safe anymore.
But that's being empowered to some degree by leaders who are inflaming it and dismissing it and downplaying it and not just immediately saying we are going to investigate with the full power of the federal government.
I struggle with even the word leaders.
People in leadership. How about that?
People in positions of authority.
The current occupant of the White House.
Yeah.
Which is how Peter Sousa says it.
Yeah.
I like that. And the thing that he's a good follow if you don't follow him. He is a photographer and did a lot of work in the White House during the Obama administration. And he posted this thing, basically like there's a history of this, like this isn't new. And I made a comment on that I have kicked around, like making it into an actual post, because there's the saddest thing here, in addition to the loss of life and the people who are hurt with this kind of thing, is that it shifts the way that I think we interact with one another, humans. It's the loss of the way this impacts all of us, and the cruelty, the loss of life, the loss of connection. It as someone who wants to believe the best in people and see the best in people, and I think that there are a lot of people like me out there, it makes me sad when I don't assume the best of people anymore, and I have shifted away from that, and I approach interactions with skepticism and distrust, especially like with people I don't know, and that's another kind of loss. To just move to there is a cost to moving through the world like that, and that's worth grieving as well. And I also recognize like there are people who have never lived that life. So there's a little bit of privilege for me to even have had that at all ever, because I think a lot of minorities, visible minorities, don't. People who can't just like blend into white society, which is definitely me. People who aren't me maybe have never had a felt sense of safety in the United States or elsewhere. So I get that. But that doesn't mean, like, no one is born with that kind of skepticism. You're not born a baby thinking, like, I got to watch out for cops and white people. You don't know that. You learn that. That sucks.
I think it's becoming more extreme. The differences in beliefs and who people support are impacting day-to-day interactions more than they ever have, because it is so extreme. It's so hard now to want to, I'm just going to say it. It's so difficult to be around anyone who supports Trump.
Yeah.
To the degree where, and I saw a post the other day that said, if you cannot be a good person and also support Trump at this point. And I'm pretty much at that point. And right. I know people who aren't visiting family members because they can't be around that. Like people are no longer, like, we can talk about your recent experience working with clients who support that. Like, lines have to be drawn to protect like our energy and our values. Yeah. And it's no longer, with regards to Trump in particular, it's no longer like, oh, I'll engage in conversation because it's interesting to hear different opinions. Like COVID, there was always that argument of, everyone has different belief systems and values. Like, what's wrong with, conversation? Okay, fine. I was a little bit resistant to that because I believe in science and some people don't, apparently. But this is so far beyond, oh, it could be a conspiracy theory. Well, this is human life and decency. Yeah. And I just, that at some point you have to draw a line. And that line is not only drawn, but it's getting drawn over many, many times with permanent marker to be made thicker and more obvious. Right. It's really difficult to, and it sucks because the only way out, like, that's only going to make it worse and worse and worse. The path that you go down with that is not good. No. And yeah, I mean, there's healthy debate, but we're past the point of any conversation about this being healthy. The thing that I'm also aware of, and this is frustrating, is I know that the systems of power that are in place like thrive on this divisiveness. And so it's like, you have to protect your personal
energy and your personal boundaries with people, but it also is like, you know, I am now contributing to the divisiveness by putting in a boundary, and you have to just be able to accept that. And that sucks because it's not, I think that the way that you change the hearts of many is personal connection. And I think that's the truth. Like, that's the truth, because you're not gonna, like, the leaderships, the parties, the people in power who are bickering, even if you believe wholeheartedly that that the party and the people that you follow are the more correct ones, no one ever changed someone's mind by yelling at them. No one ever changed their minds that way. But to me, like on a personal level, I don't really know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And, you know, you can call your representatives, which I have, like, you can plead with them to show up and try to stop or do something. But again, like, what is that going to lead to? It's going to lead to legislation, maybe, hopefully, who knows? And there's so much pushback. And it's so slow. And you're up against this administration who doesn't really seem to care at all about the way that things are supposed to be done. There's no decorum. There's no unity anymore. And that's coming from the top down. And I just don't know what to do about it. But I mean, my situation is, I work with a small handful of people one-on-one still. And by small handful, I mean like 3. And I've worked with this one person since literally 2017. Like, that's where this began. And I know that we have different political opinions. I've known that for a long time. He's like ex-military, trying to get back into the military. He works in law enforcement. He is a conservative. He's posted things before that are like aggravating, but I can sort of take it on the chin and move on, because I'm like, it's bullshit. Like, it's the way people can be on social media. And like, my personal interactions with him have always signaled to me, like, hey, you're still like a reasonable human being. And kind of right away, he started posting these stories justifying the shooting and the death, and this is why he was justified in doing that, and she was trying to weaponize her vehicle, and just all of the Fox News right-wing talking points. And I'm like, you know good and well that this is not acceptable. Like, you know that that's a violation of protocol with engaging with a moving vehicle. You know that. Because, like, what, you're going to shoot someone who's driving a car while you're filming on your cell phone? You can't, that guy had no idea who was in front of that car. Like, what if there was a kid standing she drove, like, foot on the gas, because that's what happens, like, drove into another vehicle. She could have easily driven into a group of people, or, like, into a kid, into a house. Like, anyways. He knows that. He knows that because he's been through that training. He's been in the military where there are protocols. Before you can engage with someone who's, like, in all likelihood, potentially going to try and kill you. You still have to wait.
Yeah, and you're not. We've seen other people who have credentials explain this since that event occurred. So You're not just speaking from what you know. There's been a level of education gained in the last couple of days as well. And it might have been something but it's very obvious.
And it's documented.
Like you shoot the tire.
Yeah.
Or the part of the car that's going to stop it.
Even if the person is fleeing the scene of a crime, you just let them. And you deal with that
I mean,
later.
It's not like this woman had, like, a gun and was actively shooting people.
Right. Which is the only time you're ever supposed to engage someone.
Yeah.
Anyways, like, all very well documented.
Yeah.
And so, like, 4 stories sort of saying the same thing, different people, different angles, aggressive. Like, it's just those things you're like, how do you get that out of this video? How do you get that out of this situation? And it just, like, it sort of, like, I was like, it ate at me, this one. And I sat with it for a while, and I'm like, there's just something that I'm like struggling with here. Cause it's not like I just, coach nutrition. I don't really coach nutrition anymore. Like, I write his training, and I'm like, preparing him for military selection. Like, he's a law enforcement officer. I write his physical training, his programming for him. And I realized like that's what it is, because to this point I've been able to engage with him and I've been able to do that no problem. But when my knowledge and expertise and what I'm doing for somebody merges with their ideologies and a belief, it puts me in that situation with them. And it became apparent that he believes that that action in that situation was okay. And that means that by proxy, by supporting his physical fitness, that I think it's okay. And I don't. And I can't be involved with preparing someone for service in the military or law enforcement when I know that that is what they think.
Mm-hmm.
And they would be willing to take similar action in a similar situation. And so I sent him an email and I fired him. A couple days later, I sat with it really to figure out how I wanted to do it, what I wanted to include. And yeah, I got rid of him. My one of my longest standing relationships.
What did that feel like to send the email?
Sad. I was sad. And it's not because, like, you know, I get a lot out of that relationship. To me, it's always been, you know, a little having people in my life who don't see things exactly the way that I do does work for me as a barometer to my bias, because I don't want to be a biased person. And I generally think that things that make it on the internet, and especially social media, are very biased. I never assume that I'm getting the whole story. And it's not like I follow people to engage with them so that I can get the whole story. It's just like the fact that they're there and I can see that we disagree on a lot, but they're still decent. To me, I'm like, okay, so there's at least a middle ground here on a lot of things. This is not one of those things. And, you know, when you're really invested in someone and their progress and what they're doing, that's not an easy decision to make. Like when you know everything about a person and you know their struggles, you know what they've been through, you know what like demons they have, you know what they deal with, they've confided in you. Like you don't build a trivial relationship over the course of 9 years working with somebody. So yeah, it sucked, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like I couldn't reconcile that part of it. The actively being involved in preparing someone for that kind of service. I couldn't square that in my brain, in my mind. And it would require way too much emotional energy for me to continue to engage.
Yeah, it's difficult because I think a lot of us sitting here, and maybe, you know, some of the right-wing people when Charlie Kirk died felt the same way. They're sitting here saying like, I don't know what to do. And what we can do is act in alignment with our values and our beliefs on a personal level. And with that, like decisions like this need to be made. Not supporting someone for active physical duty, that's not easy, but it's simple in a way, simple to understand. It is a little bit harder to understand the value of cutting out, for example, family members who have differing beliefs, or just nutrition clients, for example. There's a way to interact with people who believe something completely different than you and it be okay. Like, don't talk about politics.
Yeah.
Don't talk about current events, you know, that sort of thing. Keep it very nutrition focused. I think there's still maybe a place for that. But at the same time, there's part of me thinking, at least in your scenario, or even in certain family dynamic scenarios, not mine, but you hear and you're like, maybe this is what needs to happen. But then I think, is cutting somebody out of your life enough of a consequence to change their mind, or is it just going to push them farther into that?
Right.
And vice versa.
Right. And I think that's what you have to kind of hold and be aware of.
Like, there are people who, when you posted about this and kind of your take and how to help people, and what you were grappling with on Thursday, I don't keep that close, but we lost followers.
We're actually up.
I know,
Yeah.
but we lost a lot.
I'm sure.
We gained a lot, but we lost a lot. And that tends to happen. But these more positioned posts tend to have a greater impact on that swing. And there's part of me that I'm wondering the other side, because it's side now, are thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not supporting them anymore. They need to feel the consequence. And that's just part of it. It is also just protecting your own values and not wanting to see that and stuff. So it's happening on both sides.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here thinking like, maybe leaving this guy's life will have the impact of him feeling the consequence of having this belief system, which maybe is so small as a person, so immature. But they're thinking the exact same thing on the other side. And what good comes from that? No one's like, oh, I won't be able to see my family because I support Trump.
Yeah.
They're thinking like, good, because you don't support, it's contributing to this divisiveness. And it's so awful.
Yeah. I mean, that's the part that I struggle with. And you can hope that it ends in a net positive. Like if people can take some part of it and just be like, you know what? Even if they aren't willing to like publicly acknowledge it, just hold it. Mm-hmm. And I've had conversations with people who I am friends with who are conservative and, post kind of like shitty things online about like trans people. And there's like a time where I can engage in a conversation about it because I believe that there's common ground that I can get to with that person. And I care enough about that person to do that. Mm-hmm. And I did that. And, like not that long ago with someone who is a friend of mine. And he was like, you know what? You're right. And then we kind of had this really interesting and mutually respectful and engaging conversation about systems of power and the two-party system and this and how a lot of what people post and share and get really upset about is a distraction. And I was like, totally hear that. But there are real lives being impacted, especially like, trans lives. And I think that's what we need to be sensitive to here. And that was that topic. And he doesn't post that shit anymore. Because I think he was like, yeah, there's lives here that matter, including my friends.
Yeah.
But I felt no desire to engage here on that because I'm like, I can't give that my energy. I know how it's going to go. I'm going to get mansplained because I don't work in law enforcement. I'm not in the military and I cannot do that.
To me, there's a difference between sort of giving people the benefit of the doubt with something that is somewhat new of a concept, like trans people. There's a fear of the unknown to a degree for some people. And I'm speaking in a way that in my mind, I'm like, no, that's still crossing the line.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and say like, this is a new concept, even trans people in sport.
I just want to pause there because I think language matters with trans people. When you're saying new concept, you mean that a certain subset of the population has not been exposed to trans people who have been around, by the way, forever.
Yes,
Thank you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
New to certain people.
Okay.
And they're wondering how to digest it. And maybe initially they're, resistant. Then there's killing someone.
Right.
And justifying someone being killed when there were so many other options.
Yeah.
That's the line. As a human being, that's not a new concept, new quotes, for anyone.
Death has been around a long time. I
mean, it was put very clearly when it's like, if she were brought to court, or whatever, would what she did on that day justify the death penalty?
Yeah.
And people are saying pretty much in one way or another, yeah. And like that to me is just disgusting.
Yeah.
And that's the line. And I don't want to talk to someone about that. Yeah. I don't want to, I just don't.
Right.
I will talk to someone about seed oils or food dyes or, even it's getting to a point where it's like, really?
Yeah.
Or even, religious beliefs regarding abortion. Maybe. But even still, women's rights, again, getting close to crossing the line.
Yeah.
/ cross the line. There's no conversation.
Yeah, it's black and white.
I'm sorry. For me, there's no conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I was struggling, as I often do, because I am an American. I don't live there, but I can relate highly to the people who do still. I mean, my whole family's in the US. Like, we go there. I go there a lot. And I was like, I always struggle to figure out how to show up for people, show up online. Like, we have obviously a very public facing version of our company on our social media channels. And I can't not acknowledge it, because I also know that there are so many people who are kind of holding it and experiencing it the way I am. So it feels really disingenuous and tone deaf to just kind of go back to posting like normal nutrition or like, fitness content. Which frankly, like, it's not even, we put up coaching content and mindset content. Like, it's not even just like whatever. So the post that I put up, it's not like I was saying, this is wrong, this is what you should believe, which, by the way, like a lot of social media is that, which is like, I'm going to tell you what to believe.
And that's what this podcast is here to do.
Well, yeah, but if people are they're taking the extra steps to be here with us, they probably agree with what we have to say. So it really is just to acknowledge the difficulty in knowing how to show up after things like that. If you're carrying it and it's hard and it's heavy and it just like, I don't even know what the point is here. And that's really all the post was, which is like, I was supposed to post about this and I just like, I can't today because it just feels bad. And as it always happens generally when we do things like that, which, by the way, like, I made a post after Charlie Kirk and it wasn't like, that motherfucker deserved it. It was like, yeah, this is some shit, right? Do you feel weird? I feel weird.
Did anyone see someone die today on their social media?
Right. That's not okay.
I did.
So it's not like I'm being selective here. I tend to, if there's something going on and it might be affecting people, I take the opportunity to create a little bit of space on that, or for that.
I just want to say, because, well, anyway, I'll let you continue, because there are so many people who have said to you specifically, because you're the one who usually takes point on this stuff. Mm-hmm. You post about this, but you don't post about that. Mm-hmm. And then you do post about that. And then they'll be like, well, this is the first time you've posted about this. Mm-hmm. So it seems like you're just trying to get attention. Mm-hmm. So like there's no.
People experience your.
You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
The people experience your totality on the internet in 60 to 90-second clips. Mm-hmm. And they make assumptions and they assume that they know everything that you're about. And it's like, it would take you hours to go back through our page and figure out what we're about. And by all means, do that. But don't show up here and assume, because I bet that I'm a much more well-rounded person than you think. So that's the post that I created, just to create a little bit of space. And they typically, like, they go over quite well, which means that they go a little bit viral. That tends to happen, which just means I put my helmet on. No big deal. But
and here's the thing. It's like, when those posts go viral, sorry to keep interrupting.
That's okay,
you.
Yeah.
When those posts go viral, get popular, they don't really help our business. No. Our business is nutrition and fitness. Most people who are following us or commenting on those posts aren't paying for our service in the end.
Well, yeah, and that's not what it's about.
It's not. But I just want to make sure that, not that I care that much, but make sure that to kind of quell the haters, that's not why we do it.
No. There's not a clear through line to like buy this.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's not how we use our platform. But I do use it to because there's such a void, especially in the health and fitness space, of any kind of like advocacy or opinions, or even just like, hey, this shit sucks. That's kind of what I try to do with those. And by and large, everybody's grateful and like, thank you. Like, I do work hard to sort of come up with language that I think probably explains how people might be feeling if they're not quite able to put a finger on it. So that's what that was. And then kind of like, as it happens, typically, you get some comments, why can't fitness pages just stick to posting fitness content? And I'm like, bro, we're not even a fitness page. um, and just kind of goes on, and like, it's a very complicated topic, and there are highly intellectual people who are making decisions and who understand this. Not everyone is an intellectual wizard when it comes to public policy and this and this and this. And and the guy just like, he gets into it with like, it's a huge thread of comments in the comment section. And I just like, I don't engage with people on that anymore, even though I'm like, I am a highly intellectual wizard, and you would know that if you engaged with me.
Yeah.
But
But also, you don't have to be. If you have an opinion and you want to share it,
yeah,
you don't have to have some special education or special IQ or be a wizard in any way to share.
and also, I didn't actually. He's assuming that he knows what I'm talking about in the video. I didn't even say anyone's name. I could just have easily been talking about that dude. And do you think that I did that on purpose? You bet. Because if people want to get their panties in a wad about the messaging, I'm like, you're the one here assuming the intent. You're the one here taking this to the context that feels right and justifiable to you. Even though most people know what I'm talking about, I was very careful with the way that it came out and sounded, almost just to have the high ground there, because it feels good to have the high ground sometimes. So it made me think, though. It always happens that way. It's usually a dude who's just trying to like put people down, probably very uncomfortable with what's going on some level, and just can't figure out how he's feeling about it. I don't know. So this one's received a lot of reaction in public spaces, social media for sure. Artists, athletes, like, people are speaking up. And there are, of course, people who are not speaking up. And I don't know. It's your decision, I guess. It just, to me, I'm like, I would have a hard time engaging with someone who's like choosing to remain silent on things. I think that I think the apolitical celebrity is a myth. The apolitical online personality is a myth.
Can you explain that?
I think that platforms are power. I think that having a platform is having power, whether you wanted it or not, because you have influence. And choosing silence is also a political act. It doesn't mean that you have to speak out on everything, but I think that there are some things where choosing to not be like, hey, this shit is fucked up. Even if you're like, I'm not educated in this space, I try to stay out of it, but like, what I do know is like, this is really heavy and really hard.
Yeah, I think I agree with that take. There's part of me that feels that there's just a territory now that comes with having a platform. And I think that's hard for a lot of athletes who have the platform because they're an athlete. And adding that extra stress and pressure is difficult for a lot of athletes. And we know this in sports that are smaller and sports that are larger. It's hard. The focus is on the sport. That's the job. But unfortunately, by way of social media and societal expectations, there's like, there needs to be more.
Yeah. And
think that's hard. That's so hard. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have our platform and you to take point, because I'm sitting here saying I'm affected. But to think about how to articulate that is much harder for me than it is for you. And I imagine there are many people out there who have an even more difficult time than I do. Or athletes who don't even want to be exposed to the ongoings of the world because it doesn't help them in their sport. Yeah. It's so hard.
Yeah. And I also 100%, I do understand that. And it's not like, I'm not here virtue signaling, saying like everyone has to do something. I think that when I say political act, that sounds really like aggressive. That's not what I mean. I'm not like, you're a bad person. It's just kind of like, noted. And what I think, and you could probably look at trends and see that overall, in athletic spaces, artistic spaces, probably more of the athletic spaces, but artistic as well. If you were to compare the visible advocacy that occurs on social media between men and women of the same status, same sporting achievements, same levels, same like relative fame, I bet you that women on average are more active in advocacy online than men. And I think that that is because, again, nothing wrong with the men. And you see this, there's a racial disparity as well. It's not close enough to you yet. There's not enough of a threat for you to be like, shit, I should say something about this, even though I don't know what to say. Like it's if you can disengage with it and carry on with your life, great. But what that says to me is like, you don't feel it yet. You're not threatened by it. And hopefully that remains the case. I hope that we're not going in that direction. There's that famous, this famous poem or quote or something that goes through like, I'm, something, something, something. I'm not a communist. I'm not this. Like it's a person who's disengaging with activism and advocacy and helping because they don't identify with the oppressor or not the oppressor, the oppressed group. And it gets to the end and it basically is like, well, who will stand for me? But there's no one left. Because that's the impact of systemic disengagement when there's like political violence and authoritarianism and minority groups are being affected and they aren't being stood up for.
So what do you think, and this is, I guess, somewhat of a hypothetical question. Like we post almost daily, maybe not quite as much daily anymore. You get set up for a video. This is occurring. You don't feel like talking about eating fruits and vegetables. So you're going to talk about this because that's what's pertinent in your mind. And using the platform, what comes of that? Like, why do you think people need, like, what is, because it's so easy to sit here and feel completely helpless.
Yeah.
And sure, you can post on social media and express your opinion.
Yeah.
But what is changing? What is coming from that?
Right.
How does that help? And why should athletes or people with platforms continue to share and speak up?
Yeah.
Because
well, I think there's a few types of sharing. There's sharing for sharing information, like keeping things out there in the space, and so people know where you're at, and just saying like generally this is not okay, and that's like kind of how I use my personal platform. And then with Tactic, because that page serves a different purpose, and it is a coach. Like we are a coaching company, and we do have a lot of people who we support in that way. That one, I try to be a bit more purposeful in how I put information there, because if the end goal is to help people show up and help people build strength and remain strong and continue to find ways to engage positively in their lives in the ways that they want to, whether that's physically with their health habits, whether it's, supporting their own advocacy and involvement in their community. It can feel like that helpless feeling is a very disempowering feeling. And that's part of the point, I think, of what's going on here. I think that oppression is built on helplessness. They want chaos. They want people to feel sad and frustrated, like there's nothing to do, and they want people to give up. And for me, I'm like the first step in giving up is giving up health habits. It's disengaging from moving your body, from eating well, from doing things that support you like on a biological level.
Because you're thinking, what's the point?
Yeah.
Or you're so depressed or sad or upset that it's like doing anything is more and more difficult.
Right. So that tends to be the angle that I take on Tactic. And I'm like, I am doing that as much for myself as I am everyone else, because I feel that. And I want to give up. I want to just stop because I'm mad and I'm sad and I don't know what impact I can have. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to, like, regardless of what your impact or influence is, or how you engage with your community, or how you lead, or how you show up in your family, you're not going to do a good job with that. Even if it's just like, even if your influence is tiny, you're not going to do a good job with that influence if you're not taking care of yourself. And so the work is not knowing exactly what to do. The work begins with continuing to show up for yourself. And that is how I try to position tactic. And that is what I think people need to hear. And I think is why it tends to be so well received.
It's empowering despite feeling helpless.
Yeah. The other way of sharing, which is the way that I use my personal page, really is just like getting it out there and saying, this isn't okay. And, you know, if I find something that I think is particularly powerful from another creator, I platform that, because the more sharing that we do, the more we can amplify these really impactful voices that are out there. The more those get around, and maybe it's just like the thing that one person needs to hear. It's hard, it's unlikely, because social media is what it is and the algorithm is what it is. And so we tend to just exist in echo chambers, and we're screaming things, you know, into a room of people who believe the same shit that we do.
You never know, because think about, let's just take, and again, I'm generalizing to a degree, let's take the CrossFit community.
Yeah.
It generally, the impression that I get is it's more right-wing conservative.
What?
Okay.
Are you serious? I had no idea. I didn't know
We've
that.
discussed this before. And you might be in CrossFit and not that, and that's what I mean. It's generally the impression I get.
Yeah.
But people may have been following you because of your CrossFit career. So maybe they get exposed to something like this, see something that doesn't really align with their values, it hits them, it resonates, and maybe it starts a shift.
Yeah.
And so that's impactful. Or it might be somebody who doesn't really have a political opinion, sees you posting all of this stuff and is thinking to themselves, what's going on? This seems really important to Meredith. I'm going to ask her what happened.
Yeah.
And maybe they do live under a rock, and or they just live their lives a certain way.
Yeah.
And so maybe just opening their eyes to this stuff that's going on. And you do that, like if one person impacts or influences one other person, think about it.
Yeah.
On the grand scale, that's huge.
Yeah.
So it may feel like you have nothing to show or to say or anything that you can do, but I do think it does have an impact, little by little.
This is like when I said earlier, like you change the hearts of people through personal connection. I think that the fallacy of social media is that there can't be personal connection on it. And I think there can. And almost more so when people don't have, you're not using a platform where you have 280,000 followers or 1 million followers. You're using a platform where you have a couple hundred, or like friends and family of 1,000, whatever you put up, like that is going to be received by people who know you. And when I talk about personal connection, sharing stories that are important to you and making sure that people, not making sure, because I don't want this to sound like it's your job to make sure people know. But I think just sharing in a way that creates a little bit of curiosity and can maybe help them understand the personal impact and how close this actually is to them, or at least how close it is to someone that they know and that they care about. I think that's how you can start to soften people's stances. And I think when we're talking about leadership, it's easy to think about people who are in positions of power, but I think that leadership really is just a matter of influence and impact. And not influence like coercion. You're not trying to manipulate people into believing what you believe. You're just trying to find that little shred of humanness that you can connect with people on, because we have a lot more in common than we have not in common. And it's easy to forget that, because we spend so much time yelling on the internet about the things that we don't like. Like at some point, like the world has kind of shifted into a lot of people identify themselves by the things that they disagree with, the people that they don't like. The ways that they feel offended. And it's like, what if we just took a pause on that and shifted that back to like a space that isn't so negative? Maybe then, as much as like, I don't want to put in a lot of effort connecting emotionally or on a human level with conservatives. I think a lot of people feel that way. if there's an opportunity for it that doesn't cost you and that you feel like there might be a way, it's potentially worth it.
Yeah, my next question, because now I've moved into the interviewer position,
Sure.
is how you reconcile what you just said with what we were talking about earlier about just not wanting to entertain conversations. And you kind of answered that, which is finding the right opportunities.
You have to intuition matters. And sometimes it's just not the right time or place. Like, that doesn't mean that, maybe that interaction and this won't cool off over the next 6 months to 12 months. And maybe there is an opportunity with that person or someone who's similar.
Yeah.
It may just not be right now. And, hopefully that opportunity doesn't come on the heels of something even more atrocious where it's like, yeah, you know what? You were right. Even though we won't go down that path, but regardless, I think you just have to, it's a matter of like, is this going to go anywhere? Is this worth my time, effort, and energy? And then, really those two things. And even if you feel like it could go somewhere, but the cost is going to be too great, then don't. You kind of have to, that's the intuition. That's the intuitive part of it. That's the interpersonal part of it. And I think that it takes a lot of work to be empathetic with people and realize that people who you disagree with politically and socially are afraid just like we are. And it's hard to go there. It's hard to want to extend that to people. It takes a lot of work. Like, the further you are away from someone's experience, the more work it takes to create empathy and have empathy for them and to find it. But if you can find it, like, that's the shared connection. That's the vulnerability. That's the Brene Brown in everybody.
It's interesting that you say that, because I think about the ICE situation and people who they're after. And if you take a really solid right-wing individual who is supporting this and you sit down, they're scared. They're scared of these people. They're scared of losing what they want their country to be.
Yeah.
They're scared of change. They're scared of pronouns. They're scared.
Yeah.
And maybe what you just said, you can sit down with them to a degree and relate in a way that comes from that feeling of, I'm scared too.
Yeah.
Just like you might relate to your spouse. It's materializing in different ways, but it's almost like, hey, I'm scared and I need more intimacy. And that's the impact that the feelings of being afraid are having on you. It's reaching for more intimacy, reaching for more.
Yeah.
The other person might be afraid or scared. And so the way that their behavior materializes is, I need to put my walls up here. Yeah. Stay away. It's a complete opposite reaction to the exact same feeling.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
It is. And I think the complicating factor is when you have someone who's telling you what you should be afraid of and all of these things, then they're kind of, it's classic. It's classic capitalism in politics. They're gonna tell you what to be afraid of. They're gonna manufacture a problem, and then they're gonna provide a solution to that problem that has a bunch of strings attached to it. And that's also going on a little bit. And so I get it. It takes work on both sides. I also don't think that the high road is the only tool. And I think that we are also seeing when there's a half that wants to do the high road because they feel like that's the right thing to do, be the bigger person, when they go low, you go high. That works until it really doesn't. And I think we're seeing the failures of that approach because we have such a petty and immature, narcissistic,
individualistic
situation going on in the White House.
Oh, yeah.
And that I think is why you're seeing a bit more combativeness from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it takes both. And I mean, look at historical change that's occurred and the way that it's been shaped. Like it's never only the high road. They're, look at public figures who helped shape change, who are really public about it. I mean, like Muhammad Ali, super public figure in civil rights. Like, how many pictures are there of Jane Fonda getting arrested, doing like in actual protests? Like that's been occurring. Often it, like, most recently it's isn't it always the women, right? Like, most commonly. And what happens?
Okay. There are men too, but yes, yeah.
I mean, think about the Dixie Chicks back in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm. But could you argue that we might be a little biased?
True. I know that. And I mean the Chicks, they dropped the Dixie, but
they're still forever known as Dixie Chicks to me.
It's hard to get that one out of my head, but yeah, for sure, definitely a little bit biased, and I get that. I do know that, but I think that it takes it's complicated. It takes a multifaceted approach. But I think if you can't, like, someone's got to be nice here, and if you can't go anywhere just yelling at each other. I don't.
Every time I see a red hat that says "Make America Great Again," I want to scream at that person.
Every time
I'm not a violent person, and that's the most violent I ever feel is when I see someone wearing a red hat. The desire to be violent.
Dude, have you seen Jessica Griffiths with her red hat on Instagram?
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's gotten to the point where I've generalized any red hat with white writing.
And that ticks me off because I wish.
I'm like, do you know what you've done here? And if you do, like, just be open with it. Just wear the thing.
Right. Wear the one. I hope one day, like, red hats from a distance aren't so triggering. I hope that day comes. I don't know that it ever will. But I can't own a red hat ever.
But yeah, I don't think violence is the answer, even though deep in our bones that may be our initial desired reaction.
You just want to grab someone and, like, shake them.
I know.
Like, what are you doing? Yeah, I mean,
it's a really difficult time. I think that this podcast has somewhat summarized that.
I guess we're not a fitness page. Don't call us a fitness page. Don't call us a nutrition page. Don't tell me to stay in my lane.
We are a fitness page. We are a nutrition page, but we are so much more.
And that's why people follow us, I think.
Or unfollow us.
Which that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what I want. Sometimes it's good to clean things out a little bit.
Yeah, that's the only cleanse we believe in.
If posting what I posted on Thursday makes you feel unsafe, probably don't belong together in any way.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm sensitive to the way that people use their platforms. Generally, like, there's not always a demonstration of a lot of responsibility. People don't seem to understand the influence they have on general public or take a great amount of care with what they put out generally. So to me, I'm really, like, I'm sensitive to the moral and civic responsibility that I feel comes with having a platform, especially with someone who didn't set out to have it. And I feel a responsibility to the people who choose to engage and to follow. And I certainly, like, we don't do it to be performative or opportunistic. It's literally, it's to create a little space for people who might be feeling the same way.
Or for yourself.
A lot for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I said that I don't know how many people I said that to who messaged and were like, thank you. And I was like, look, like, I couldn't move forward without doing this. Mm-hmm. Like, I did it as much for me. I needed to, like, sit and figure this out and put words behind it so that I could start to move forward myself. Because I was just paralyzed with this one. Mm-hmm. I still am to some degree. Like, I'm like, I don't know if I just need to get off social media, but then, what does that do? I think to some degree, I'm like, don't run away from it. Don't look away. It's finding that balance of, like, not letting it consume you. Mm-hmm. Consume, don't absorb. It's hard when it's really close to home, though. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. And I think most people can probably relate to this feeling, especially animal lovers, which many people are. When you told me the wife went to go get the dog out of the car, it was like that broke my heart almost. Like, yes, it's so easy to think like I don't know what it was about that, but it's just like it's so humanizing of like the dog. I don't know. I always and the wife and like the fact that now the wife is living with that experience, like that's humanizing.
Yeah.
And I think like it might take time, but I hope that people who are justifying that death can stop for a second and just be human and go beyond this like politically charged belief influence and just go back to like the basics of like human decency and empathy.
Yeah.
And maybe that over time, I don't know. You just got to hope.
Yeah.
You got to hope. And I think it's down there for many people. I think maybe if, I don't know the exact definitions, but maybe if you're a psychopath, not. And I don't think this many people in America or North America are psychopaths. So that's the hope, is eventually people will stop and say, holy moly.
Yeah.
That's horrifying and disturbing.
Yeah.
And if I were that person or wife or my dog lost me like that, I mean, sometimes it has to be. Go beyond the humanizing aspect and go to the animal, the innocence of an animal.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Anyway, thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. I like James Baldwin, and he lived in a number of countries during his life, but he wrote a lot about his experience in America as a black man, as a queer black man during a time where it was not common to write about these things. And he just got a great mind, like before his time, for sure. And there's this quote, and it's a famous one of his. It says, "I love America more than any other country in the world, and exactly for this reason, I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually." And I think that is okay. And I think if people can't hear that, I mean, isn't that the democratic experiment? Isn't that what we're here to do?
Yeah.
Isn't it through the desires and the wishes and the beliefs of the population and the people? Isn't that what shapes the country? I think it has to be. And to allow it to be anything else is a failure of what it is that we're supposed to believe in. And things change. Things are going to change. Things have always changed. Like the amount of resistance a person puts up doesn't change the fact that things are going to change. That's going to happen. And I hope that we're closer to those changes than we are further away from them, because I don't know how much more people can take. I mean, you'll take what comes. That's the reality of it.
But what materializes as a result of it is in question.
Yeah. People just keep showing up. Public figures, K-list celebrities, everyday people. Don't stay in your lane. Don't let people tell you to stay in your lane.
There are no lanes.
Yeah. Don't feel like you have a limitation or in a box. And maybe that's the thing. Like being a woman, being queer, being a racial minority, if that's you're not in a box. You're not in the same box as other people. So don't get in the box. Mm-hmm. Like your biggest superpower is that you live life outside that box. So stay there, mm-hmm. but keep showing up, even when it's hard. Use your power. Use your influence. Be a good force. Be one of the good guys. That's all. Anything else?
No, you said it.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to this one and for engaging in positive ways on our social media channels and sharing that. If you did, like I said, I put that kind of thing out as much for myself as other people, but I am always positively reinforced when I hear that the message is helpful and I'm able to give some language to what people are feeling. So I guess we'll get back to regularly scheduled business soon enough. But first, a tropical vacation in our queer bubble
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
that I don't think I will want to come back from. Okay, well, have a good one, and we'll catch you on the next episode.